Aloha and welcome to Ukulele Corner. Have you ever wondered what the difference is between the tenor size ukulele and the G, C, E, A tuning versus the baritone? Let's check it out and let's hear some of the differences with the sound between the instruments. I'm going to play a few of the same pieces so you can give a listen and see. Both of them have the low tuning, so this tenor here has a low G tuning and the baritone has a low D tuning. And there's really a different resonance and texture and feel when you're playing each instrument. I absolutely love playing both. And at the Ukulele Corner Academy, we have repertoire for both instruments. And with the low as well as the reentrant tuning for both instruments. I think there's such a range of music you can play with the ukulele, and having the two instruments and the two sizes is really excellent. Many people choose to play, instead of a tenor size, a concert size as well. It's a little bit smaller. For some people's hands it feels a bit better. And of course there's the really small size, the soprano. I find for fingerstyle it's definitely possible to play on a soprano, but I like to feel the depth and the tone of the tenor. And so when I'm first comparing instruments and trying things out, I listen for a few things in particular. One is for the sustain, sort of the character of the tone, how long notes last. I also listen for intonation, and if notes are in tune as you play up higher up the neck. It's common for it to get a little sharp sometimes, but if you have a really well-made instrument that's really balanced, it's more in tune as you get up higher. But if I play basically what we think of as a C chord on the tenor, and I'll go to F, this is sort of just the basic texture and the resonance. Let's say if I'm playing a song like Imagine, just doing some basic strumming. Get that sound in your ear, and you're going to be really surprised at the depth and the change of color and tone when I switch over to baritone. So this is the tenor sound. Now let's check it out when I swap over to this. This is the Ko Aloha, by the way, this tenor. I have this beautiful baritone that was made by Dennis Lake, Po Mahina Ukuleles. He's based for many years. He was in Na'alehu on Hawaii Island, and now he's back in the San Diego area in California. But give a listen to this sound. It's got this mellowness to it. That's one thing I love about the baritones. It's really, we call it nahe nahe sound in Hawaii. It's got this really laid back mellow tone. I find if I play fingerstyle on it, I'm now playing in a different key because of the tuning. Instead of G, C, E, A, it's D, G, B, and E on top. It's like those top four strings of the guitar. So now I'm in the key of G, going to C chord. But listen to what happens if I start playing some higher melodies. There's a sort of open resonance that almost reminds me, if you've ever heard of Renaissance music played on a lute, there's a sort of character of the tone on the baritone that reminds me of it, especially when it has the low tuning. I love playing jazz music, and I really like sort of the Benny Chong style, if you're familiar with his playing. He's just this brilliant, brilliant musician playing jazz. I studied with him for a number of years. He really is particular to use the reentrant tuning. But with this low tuning, you get these nice, deep bass notes. So it's nice just if you have a chance to play the two instruments, just jump back and forth. Each one feels different. Of course, the neck is much smaller when I play on the baritone, but the tone quality is different. The strings are a little closer together too, so the right hand feels a little different. Much brighter sound, a little less sustain. The baritone has really great sustain. It feels like the strings are more responsive. There's a little bit more string tension. I actually like to use pretty heavy tension strings. I like to feel that response, a quick response to the strings. And it feels, when I play the baritone, it's a little bit, the strings are a little looser. It's just the nature of the instrument. But listen to that brightness that comes through here. I'm playing a little bit of a piece called Lagrima. It's a piece that we learned at Ukulele Corner. Brightness, that resonance, that shimmer that comes through with the G, C, E, A tuning. And then the baritone has this mellow richness to it. It's really interesting as you do this, you're looking at your fingers, but the notes are different. And it's a really good challenge actually to be able to transpose between the two. And I do a lot of playing of different styles of music, whether it's Hawaiian music, classical, pop music, or jazz. And I'm constantly testing things out on either instrument to see what really resonates and what I connect with. And so one thing though, there are a lot of baritone players who like to study some of the repertoire at Ukulele Corner. There's a lot of baritone content there. But what I recommend is a lot of the material that you're going to find for the ukulele that's been written down, the baritone has been neglected a little bit in a way. And I'm trying to get more and more repertoire out there for the baritone. But what I recommend to a lot of students, it's really easy to do, and it allows them to be able to play a lot of the GCEA tuning repertoire, is just put a capo up on the 5th fret. That's essentially what we have here. Aha! Now we've just made our baritone into a tenor. You run out of runway as you get up high up the neck, so it's tricky if you're playing a piece that goes up to a really high register, but if you're playing a lot of pieces that perhaps, like let's say if I go back to playing a piece like Imagine, that's just going basically what was a G and a C chord, now it's just like I'm playing a tenor. I'm playing now a C to an F chord, and if I do a scale, I can practice all of the material that, and if you're, let's say if you're playing along with a video, an instructional video or a recording, this is going to allow you to play in tune with that. And then once the music settles in and you feel comfortable with it, a lot of people read tablature, and the tablature is going to look the same as well with a capo on or off. Then you can remove the capo and you'll be able to play the same fingering, but then you'll hear that rich, deep baritone sound. So you're starting to hear some of the difference between the mellowness, right, of this baritone. What if I played something kind of jazzy? I'll play a little sort of a chord cycle. Another thing I really like about the baritone is this. You can get this mellow, smooth jazz, like swooshy kind of strumming sound. Vibrato comes through really well because of the looseness of the strings. You can really, even when you're doing a full chord, it's really easy to get some nice vibrato on the baritone. Now if I do something similar, you're going to hear this, I can still get that kind of jazz swoosh sound. I'm just using the flesh of my thumb and index finger. So the thing is, all of the techniques that you learn on one instrument, it applies to either, but you just have to think about learning the names and the chord names. That can be very confusing for students as they're first learning. I have many instruments, and it's kind of dangerous really with all these different tunings that we have on the ukulele. You want to have an instrument for the reentrant tuning, and then the low tuning for a tenor, and then the same for a baritone. And the good thing is that ukuleles are relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of other instruments. And I highly encourage a lot of my students at the Ukulele Corner Academy to have more than one instrument. It's really fun to switch around, and it's definitely worth investing. And so experiment and see what you prefer, which sound, and try the same piece like I demonstrated earlier on different instruments and get the feel for it. You're gonna have to work a little bit harder when you play the baritone, right? The frets are a little wider apart, but it's worth it. It's worth the effort for that beautiful, low, rich sound. So that's taking a look at the two sizes of instruments that I like to play all the time. So let me know which instrument you prefer. You can add a comment below. And I look forward to seeing you again at Ukulele Corner. Mahalo.